Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my channel. This is the first model car review I've ever made. Also, I don't speak so fluently English, so please have mercy in the comments. So let's get started and talk about the actual model. So this is a 1/12 scale release by Spark Models. So it's a resin model. It's in 1/12 scale, um, and the model is the Red Bull Racing Honda RB16B. Winner Abu Dhabi Grand Prix 2021, World Champion Max Verstappen. As you can see, the model comes in this acrylic display case, which I must say um, it's not of such a high quality as the BBR display cases or Atlantic cases. The walls of the display case are pretty thin. The model is then fixed, mounted on the base plate. You can see here how the model is mounted with screws, so it's pretty good fixed, so nothing bad can really happen during the transport, during the delivery. Spark also use the numbering of this model. My model is the number 296 of 2021 items. Let's remove the display case and take a look at the model. So firstly, just let's take a look around the model car. My lighting my light condition are not so good in this room, but unfortunately I don't have another place to film this model at the moment. So at the first glance, this is a well-made 1/12 scale Formula One model car with lots of good and fine details, especially on the front wing and the front part of the car. So you can see here all the fine details of the front wing, all the cuts, all the logos. All the logos are in place. If you look at the nose, you can see all the Red Bull sponsors of that year. Underneath you can see some carbon texture, aerodynamic piece on the both sides. Here's the light, not so good. The front suspension has this carbon fiber texture. On the nose you can see these two little wings. I think the suspension, the front suspension looks pretty good. And now let's take a look at the front wheels. I must say that I'm pretty impressed of the details added by Spark at the front wheel. Yeah, you can see that Spark added also what even the valve on the front wheel and The right decals on the brake disc. The rims are also pretty detailed. So overall the front wheels are looking pretty good. Also you can see this rubber texture on it, uh, just like uh, just like in the race. Mini champs done it, I must say, a little bit better though, because on the Verstappen shop released, the front and the back, the rear wheels have had also that rubbery texture, that pickup texture on them. Here sadly it's this thing wasn't reproduced, but overall I think that the wheels on this Spark model are definitely of a better detail than on the mini champs model. So now we can have a look also on the left side of the car. We are still on the front, front side of the model car. We can see all these aero elements here. For example, these elements are all cuts. You can see all the cuts. The texture is also like a carbon fiber. On the sides of the car, you can see the continuation of these aerodynamical elements on the under tray. Here are no cuts, but I don't really know if the actual Formula 1 car had cuts here in this part of the car. For me it looks also pretty good. One thing that I don't really like is that the decals look a little bit too thick, a little bit too obvious. I think that this is a typical Spark thing. I also noticed on my RB16B Turkish Grand Prix model car in the 1/18 scale that the decals are also looking a little bit too thick. But when you look at the car from a few more centimeters, you can't see this fine detail. Now just let's take a look at the cockpit, and before doing that, you can see all the antennas on the front nose. I must say that this little antenna here, it's not so good reproduced. At the real car it was a little bit bigger, but the other antennas are very good and realistically made. So now let's take a look at the driver's cockpit. As you can see, on the halo are applied all the Red Bull sponsors. The driver helmet looks pretty detailed. You can also see that Spark created these fine details on the Max Verstappen's helmet. You can also look at the back of the helmet and see that the shape is correct. Let's just take a look from the other side. Here you can see all the sponsors on the helmet. Jumbo, one of the first sponsors of Max Verstappen. Car Next, Mobile One, Citrix. So the steering wheel looks pretty good. I try to see if all the details are in place. Just I try to reposition the model. Here are all the logos applied on the back of the steering wheel. Unfortunately, I can't show you all the good details on the steering wheel, since I make this video, this recording with my smartphone. So driver figurine looks pretty good, I think, with some photo etched seat belts. Now let's just take a look at the body of the car. You can see yeah, this rivet imitations all over the place on the engine cover. This ring right here, it's also very well made. At the top of the cockpit, you can see this exhaust, or the intake, excuse me. Maybe it's, yeah, maybe it's not so deep, but yeah, it looks okay. Here on the top of the car you can see all these cameras with carbon fiber texture all over. On the top of the intake you can see these electrical symbols. As I said, all over the place you can see these rivets detailing on the engine cover. Yeah, you can see here again what I already mentioned, that the Red Bull decals are a little bit too thick. I don't know if I'm the only one with this who has this problem with it, but it looks a little bit not so refined. Now I wanted to talk about the cons of this model car. I don't really have so many, but the rear suspension is one of them. As you can see, Here this metal rod on the model is resin or plastic, but on the real car this metal rod goes over this part of the rear suspension and comes somewhere. So from here, let's take a little better of focus. So here on this model goes underneath this carbon element. On the real car it goes over it and comes right here. I will show you a comparison with the Mini Champ, with the Mini Champ's version. But you can clearly see that this is actually the rear suspension of the RB16, and I don't know why did Spark why Spark wasn't more careful with it, because other than this it's a pretty good pretty well made model. Also, I don't think that the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix version had this element right here, this chrome element on the sides. Maybe you can leave a comment and contradict me if I'm wrong. But as I said, I don't know if the Abu Dhabi version of this car had this chrome element right here, yeah, and yeah, you can clearly see now that the metal rod of the rear suspension is going underneath that carbon part and not above it, and this is in my opinion a big mistake from Spark. So now let's just take a look at the rear wheels. I will try to put the car in a better angle for you to see all the details of it. So it looks pretty good with you can see the disc brakes and this imitation of the metal structure with these fine details. On the inside you can see the logos of the rim. Also here some of the sponsors, the Oz. Then the rubbery part, I think is pretty good made, pretty well made. Pirelli and Zero. Next year I turn 18. I will also show you the other part, the other rear wheel. I really like this rubber texture on the sides of the slick. And now let's turn our attention to the rear wing. So at the first sight you might say that the whole rear wing is a single resin part or plastic part, but actually the upper part of the rear wing is separated from this part. I can show you this separation. It's not so obvious, but if you look in light, maybe you can see some of the separation here, yeah, here and there. You could see that the light comes through. So I think it's a really good, well-made detail. Put the model carefully on the table. So the DRS system, yeah, looks pretty good. The sides of the rear wing on the both sides don't have here a little bit of, yeah, some cuts in it with a little bit of carbon texture, some gills on the sides. So you can also see here these elements, these cuts on the sides with the carbon texture and these gills. It looks pretty good. Let's take a look on the back of the car. Here is the diffuser. I will make this sponge part away. As you can see, it looks pretty good with some with a plastic part. It imitates some cuts in it, but it's a single piece. The aero elements are also there. Yeah, so pretty much a pretty well done model. Here you can see the brake system, the suspension system on both sides with some added details with some cuts in it. I think it looks pretty good. The exhaust system, you can clearly see there are two pipes. They are a little bit superficial, a little bit shallow, but there are two pipes, not just one piece. So this was my review of the RB16B driven by Max Verstappen at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix in 2021. I really like the car. It has some cons. The biggest of them is, in my opinion, the rear suspension, which is the rear suspension of the RB16 and not the RB16B. And I think that Spark, as I already repeated, could have done it a little bit better. I like the detailing of the front wing, and also that the rear wing has these two separated elements. Also, I like the aerodynamically parts of the rear suspension. On both sides you can see these cuts everywhere. I also like that the exhaust system is made out of two pipes, although they are pretty shallow, not so deep as they should. I think it's a good model. The wheel details are very good in my opinion. I think overall did I think that Spark did overall a good job with it. And before I say goodbye, I would want to show you a comparison with another 1/12 scale model that I have, the McLaren Honda MP44 driven by Ayrton Senna. So as you can see, I will try to align the models. So as you can see, the modern Formula One cars are huge in comparison with Formula One cars from the 80s. As I mentioned, the McLaren, it's a 1/12 scale also as the Red Bull, but you can see how much of a length and size difference is between these two cars. I'll try to show it to you from as many angles as possible. So yeah, the size difference is pretty obvious. So this was my review of the Red Bull Racing Honda RB16B winner, Abu Dhabi Grand Prix 2021, world champion Max Verstappen, model car produced by Spark in 1/12 scale. I hope you liked the review, and I want to apologize again for not speaking so fluently English. This is my first video, and if you liked it, I will make other reviews from my collection, and yeah, please consider giving a like and subscribe. Bye.